What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here, as always, on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams, and today we're going to be wrapping up the Ninja Turtles franchise with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 from 1993, starring Paige Turco, Elias Koteas, Stuart Wilson, Sab Shimono, Vivian Wu, Brian Tochi, Corey Feldman, Robbie Rist, Tim Kelleher, and James Murray. What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining me today as we round out the Ninja Turtles series, the original trilogy. Yes, there have been more Ninja Turtles films that have come out since this one, but they are not part of the same cohesive timeline. They are their own franchises. There was the early to mid 2000s computer animated TMNT film, and then there was the duo of films with Megan Fox as April O'Neil that came out. But this is the final film in the trilogy that is the original Ninja Turtles series. And our film begins in 1603 Japan. And a young man is being chased on horseback by 4 samurai warriors. And as the chase enters the woods, a mysterious woman emerges from the underbrush, and she watches very closely and intently. The samurai capture the young man and take him with them. Meanwhile, in the present, April O'Neil has been out shopping at a flea market. She's preparing for an upcoming vacation that she's going to go on away from the turtles. And she's just been out trying to pick up things that she may need for her trip. She ends up bringing gifts to her friends. She gives them, Leonardo gets a book on swords. Donatello gets a broken radio for him to fix. Michelangelo gets a lamp, and he promptly puts the lampshade on his head and does an Elvis Blue Hawaii impression. And she has a fedora for Raphael, but Raphael's out being Raphael, sulking and being moody, so she never gets to formally give it to him. And for Splinter, she's found an ancient Japanese scepter. We then cut back to the past, and the young man who was captured by the samurai warriors, who is revealed to be Prince Kenshin, is being scolded by his father, Lord Norinaga. And Lord Norinaga feels that Kenshin has disgraced the family name. Kenshin argues him, though, that his desire for war is the real disgrace to the family name. And their disagreement is interrupted by Walker, who is an English trader. He's come to supply Norinaga with manpower and firearms in order to help with his war. Kenshin leaves his father's presence. He's going to go brood in a temple. While he's there, he ends up finding the exact same scepter that April has. Reads the inscription, which reads, "Open wide the gates of time." April's holding the scepter at the same time in the present, and the scepter begins to light up, strange winds blowing, and she's transported back into time, with Kenshin coming through and taking her spot. They even swap clothing in the time travel process. Lucky for Kenshin, April was wearing blue jeans and a leather jacket, so it doesn't look like she was dressed in more or less female clothes. Now, upon her arrival in Japan, April is accused of being a witch. Walker figures out that she has no powers, though. Puts her in a prison to make her suffer. Back in the present, Kenshin is shocked when he sees the turtles. Calls them kappa, which is a Japanese term for demons. After Kenshin explains the situation to Splinter and the turtles about the war and everything that's about to go down, the turtles decide to go back to rescue April. However, according to Donatello's calculations, they only have 60 hours to complete their mission before the scepter's power will disappear and the space-time continuum will be out of sync. Turtles go and get Casey Jones. They bring him to kind of house sit for them. Keep an eye on Splinter. Make sure nobody tries to harm him like they have in the past. And more importantly, keep your eyes on Kenshin. We don't need him running around modern-day New York getting into trouble. They use the scepter, travel back in time, and the turtles are replaced by 4 of Norinaga's honor guards. Come back in their place. And when they arrive in New York, they're just as confused as Kenshin was about their new surroundings. Well, back in time, the turtles come to and they're on horseback. And they're just absolutely horrible at riding their steeds. Michelangelo is even backwards. During the confusion, Michelangelo ends up riding off into the forest alone. He also has the scepter. And he gets ambushed by an unknown assailant, while Leonardo, Donatello, and Raphael go into Norinaga's castle in search of April. In their disguises as Norinaga's honor guards, provides them with cover just long enough to make the search. And after following Niles, who is one of Walker's thugs, into the prison, the turtles are able to rescue April. And they free another prisoner named Whit. And Whit bears a striking resemblance to Casey Jones. The major difference being that Casey Jones, you think about it, is clean shaved and has long hair. Whit has a beard and short hair, but facially, striking resemblance to Casey. They look like they could be brothers. They escape into the wilderness, but they have no clue where to go because it's not their time. They don't know where anything is. Meanwhile, in the present, Kenshin is getting impatient. And he anticipates a fight from Casey. Like, he can just read Casey and know that Casey is trouble, that Casey likes to throw down, which we all know is true. But Casey, having been brought there by the turtles, isn't trying to disrespect in their home, even if their home is an underground sewer layer. So instead of fighting, Casey introduces Kenshin and the honor guards to hockey. Puts the TV on. They start watching the games. And it calms them down, at least for the time being. Now, out in the woods, April and Wit are attacked again, this time by villagers who mistake them for Norinaga's associates. The attack comes to a halt, though, when Mitsu, the leader of a rebellion against Lord Norinaga, unmasks Raphael and sees that he looks just like one of her prisoners. The turtles realize that she's referring to Michelangelo, who's been missing since their arrival when he rode off into the woods on his own. So they accompany Mitsu to her village, and upon their arrival, they see Walker's men burning the village down. As the three turtles try to save the village, Michelangelo is led out by a pair of clueless soldiers, and he's able to join in the fight, reuniting the four brothers together. Walker and his men retreat, but the fires continue to burn, and a trapped young boy cries out for help inside of a house. Michelangelo runs into the burning home and rescues the young boy, whose name is Yoshi, saves him from the fire. But he's knocked out from having been in the fire too long. So Leonardo performs CPR on the child, helping him to recover and earning the turtles an amount of respect from the villagers. And the villagers didn't want Leonardo to touch the boy. But if Leonardo hadn't done what he had done, Yoshi would have died right there. Walker continues his negotiations with Lord Norinaga, Walker's guns, in exchange for gold, while the turtles spend time in the village, growing closer to the villagers, forming a bond and earning a trust with these people. Unable to find the scepter, Donatello decides to have a replacement one made. That way they can still get back to their own time before the space-time continuum comes out of alignment. Michelangelo teaches the villagers about pizza, and he tries to console Mitsu about Kenshin, with whom she's in love with. So just imagine, you've heard of long-distance relationships. Could you imagine if your love wasn't just across the town or across the state or across the country? They were 300-something years in a different time. So Mitsu is obviously shaken up about Kenshin and wants to know that he's okay. The turtles, having had contact with him before they left to come back, they can assure her, at least put her mind at ease a little bit, that Kenshin is all right. Raphael bonds with Yoshi and teaches him how to control his temper, because Yoshi's a bit of a hothead, much like Raphael is. So it's kind of funny when you think about it to watch Raphael teach Yoshi how to calm down some. Meanwhile, back in the present, the honor guards are adjusting quite well to the 20th century. Casey tries to challenge them to a hockey game after watching all the hockey on TV, but all the guards think that hockey is about is fighting. So they begin to fight each other and beat each other up. Splinter and Kenshin begin to fear that time's running out and that the turtles may not succeed in their mission. The scepter replica gets completed, but during an argument between Michelangelo and Raphael, it ends up breaking. To make things worse, Mitsu learns and informs the turtles that Lord Norinaga has agreed to Walker's terms and will be attacking the village in the morning. When Raphael goes to visit Yoshi, he's surprised to learn that the original scepter is in the child's possession. The turtles are happy to see it, but are upset at Mitsu for having it hidden, in an effort to force the turtles to try to fight her war. However, Mitsu's grandfather steps in and tells the turtles that it was his idea to have the turtles fight in her place. He didn't want his granddaughter to get hurt. And seeing the turtles, knowing that they're warriors, he felt that they could do this for them, try to save them. Now that the scepter is had, all of a sudden, Wit betrays everybody, captures Mitsu, takes the scepter with him. The turtles return to Norinaga's castle to try to save Mitsu, and after the rescue, they are cornered by Norinaga and made to fight his soldiers. The turtles respond by freeing all the prisoners in the palace, which starts an all-out war on the palace. The fight goes on for a while, and then Lord Norinaga is defeated by Leonardo in a very heated sword duel. Leonardo even cuts off part of Norinaga's hair and traps Norinaga inside of a bell, which Donatello then hits a couple times with his bow staff, make it rain. Walker attempts to cut his losses by grabbing the scepter, and he attempts to get away in his boat. However, the turtles corner him at the dock, but Walker throws the scepter as a distraction. Turtles catch the scepter, while Wit launches a fireball from a catapult at Walker and knocks him off the dock to his death, Wit having turned back to the good side. The turtles are now ready to return to their own time, but Michelangelo wants to stay with Mitsu. Raphael even wants to stay with Yoshi because, unlike the modern world, the turtles are actually appreciated in Japan. The other turtles and April try to convince them otherwise, but Kenshin accidentally activates the scepter back in modern times. After a long debate, which includes Mitsu telling Michelangelo that he needs to keep his promise to Kenshin, Michelangelo reluctantly agrees to return home with his brothers. But he just barely misses grabbing the scepter. The honor guards and Kenshin swap back with the turtles, all except Michelangelo. Luckily, because Michelangelo didn't touch it, one of the honor guards couldn't go back either. So the other honor guard activates the scepter and switches spots with Michelangelo just before the scepter burns out. In the past, Norinaga admits surrender to Mitsu and Kenshin, who hands the scepter over to his father, and the two lovers are finally reunited. Meanwhile, Michelangelo is depressed, but Splinter cheers him up by doing the lampshade Blue Hawaii Elvis impression, and our movie ends with the turtles dancing and having fun with each other. This movie was just as hokey as I remembered it being. Even when I saw this many, many years ago when it first came out, I was like, man, this movie is bad. It's boring. It could have been really good with the time travel aspects, but it was just bad. They never should have made a part 3. The fact that Jim Henson's Creature Shop did not do the Turtles costumes for this one, you could definitely tell the difference in how unrealistic the Turtles looked. No Henson involvement meant no Kevin Clash coming back either. as Master Splinter. As a matter of fact, the only two actors who were consistent through the entire trilogy were Brian Tochi, who was the voice of Leonardo, and Robbie Rist, the voice of Michelangelo. Corey Feldman did return to this one, but he was absent in part 2. Elias Koteas did return for this one, but he was absent to part 2. Paige Turco was back for this one, but it was Judith Hoag in the original Ninja Turtles film playing April. But Robbie Rist and Brian Tochi were the only consistents throughout the entire franchise. I'm not even going to waste time getting into this one. And I feel like I'm still being very, very nice by giving it this rating. But when you consider that I gave the original Ninja Turtles film 4.5 stars. And I even gave the second one 3.5 stars. I give Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 1.5 stars. It was bad. It was very bad. In the realms of comparing it like I did the other two to the Burton Schumacher Batman verse, this is Batman and Robin. This is the film that is so campy and just so bad that it killed the franchise for a long time. And the only reason people ever watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, just like the only reason people watch Batman and Robin, is if they are watching the entire saga. Because if you're watching the entire saga, you cannot not watch these, as they kind of tie up the stories in question. But if you're just popping on one of them randomly to put on and watch, nobody that I have ever met says, dude, you know what movie we should watch today? We should watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. No. No. It just doesn't happen. 1.5 out of 5 stars for me. Don't forget to get out there on the social medias. Get those hashtags trending. Hashtag Casa D18 Studios. Hashtag Renegades Reviews. Hashtag Renegade Returns. And, of course, the ever-popular hashtag Shenanigans. We interrupt this episode of Renegades Reviews for an important announcement about
merchandising.
Merchandising? What's that?
Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Merchandising, merchandising, where the real money's made.
Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network for all the t-shirts you see here from the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham himself. You can get shirts for the Jeff Meacham Network, Talk Wrestling, as well as the red and gold Meachamania shirts. And while you're there, don't forget to get your shirts of the Casa D18 Studios Brotherhood, the Dads on Wrestling shirt, the Renegade J.J. Williams, Statboy Sports Bar, and the hashtag StatBoyApproved shirt. Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network and score your shirts today. Make sure you do what that commercial just told you. Go to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network. Get you your official Jeff Meacham Network logo t-shirts, your Talk Wrestling shirts, your Meachamania shirts. Get you your official t-shirts of the Casa D18 Studios Brotherhood, your Renegade J.J. Williams shirts, Dad's Not Always on Wrestling, Statboy Sports Bar, and so much more. Tomorrow, make sure you come back here to the Casa D18 Studios channel for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. When I open up the book and do the first chapter of another trilogy, tomorrow I begin John Wick with Keanu Reeves. So make sure you tune in tomorrow to check that out. Thank you guys for joining me. I greatly appreciate it. As always, leave your thoughts in the comment box below about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 Let me know what you think about it. I appreciate each and every one of you tuning in, and I will see you guys next time.